Welcome back everybody, we are now finally ready to get going with the grand final. My name is Benvarmeren, as you can see on the screen, and as you can also see on my screen, my co-caster for today is Dowsy.
Thank you very much, Benvarmeren, and that is exactly it. We're going to be jumping into the finals of this Go4LoL EU West Cup between GLB Red and FK. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of it. Oh, I might give it a go eventually, but essentially they're a staunch Catholic. I hear their name is translates to the Polish team representing today, and it should be a fantastic grand final as bands are flying out left and right. We've got the Maokai and the Nilly band away, as well as the Trundle and the Twisted Fate. Kindred the last band, and I just want to say that's really surprising that Ervil banning away that Maokai from himself.
Yeah, he definitely do not want to give that up, and Maokai is a strong top laner, so that could be that the side of FK wanted to pick it up.
Yeah, it would make sense if that was the champion they wanted. Poppy was the last ban for FK, and Sankus once more locking in that Graves jungle. However, it could be flex picked to the top lane or to the bot lane. But Sankus, he played such a Graves jungle in the previous game, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're going for again. Will be the Brom and the Lucian locked in for FK. No surprise there, very strong bot lane duo.
Yeah, just pick up the Graves. You don't have to fix anything that's not broken, so definitely just give Sankus the Graves again. However, it is a flex pick, but it is probably going to be in the jungle. We did see the Graves jungle last time. And Lucian and Brom, again, we've seen this earlier today. It's a strong bottom lane, so why not go for it? I mean, Brom is one of the best supports right now, arguably the best support, and Lucian is just such a lane bully. So, for example, if you want to go for Sivir or perhaps Ezreal, then obviously Lucian will be there to try and counter him and bully him out of the lane, or her.
Yeah, have to see what GLB have planned against this Lucian lane. It kind of makes sense that they would pick up the Ezreal, probably the second strongest AD carry at the moment in the meta. Also could be theoretically flexed to the mid lane as well, but I'm going to expect Lemon Knight on that one. It's also the Alistair picked up for Ox this time with the Trundle band away, has to mix things up. Alistair really a great initiation champ. Also the healing that he's able to dish out, though nerfed a little bit recently. Still good enough to be that sustained initiation peeling tank that he is.
Yeah, no, Alistair is probably the second best support after Brom. Just because they basically do the same, but with Brom you can start dives earlier because of Unbreakable, and for Alistair you have to wait for level 6 to get your Unbreakable will. So it's very standard to pick up the Alistair. It's very good, and then also Ezreal, as you said, can be flexed into the mid lane. I do not expect that either, just because Ezreal as an AD carry is way better than an AP Ezreal or an AD Ezreal in the mid lane.
Yeah, you're right there. Going to be Azir picked up for the side of FK. So was the Lee Sin, and we saw an Azir on the side of Valkyrie in the previous game, and GLB, they demolished it. So have to see what they decide to pick up. That Lulu is available for them if they want to try it out again. Christopher played a very good Lulu against the Azir previous game, so that one is available. Of course, they did first pick the Lulu in the last game, as it is a flex pick and they can put it anywhere. This time, knowing that that's going to be an Azir in the mid lane, they might do something else, may try and find a counter pick for it, such as maybe a Vel'Koz or something else that has really long range. We did see Vel'Koz recently in competitive play against Azir, and it just completely demolishes it. But the Lulu is still there if they do decide to go for it. And it will be the Lulu locked in for Lemon Knight, as well as for Christopher, as well as the Fiora locked in for Erevil.
Okay, so Fiora being picked up, I'm a bit surprised by this. I can understand why we want to go for it, because you obviously can go for way more damage in this team composition that you have built, and you don't necessarily need a tank now that you have Alistair. But it's just Fiora, she took such a huge nerf in this in the last patch and this patch, because her passive now scales faster in terms of damage, but it also it has been nerfed. Also, I'm pretty sure
they took away a third of her damage, basically
exactly.
at early levels.
And even her repose has got nerfed a lot, and the E slow and range has also been nerfed. So she's really nerfed very hard, but she can still complete the role of being a split pusher.
Yeah, so basically what their idea with Fiora was, let's take away Fiora's early game pressure. You know, she's quite a crazy champion to lane against. She's able to dish out so much pressure in the early game, so they attacked her passive as well as her riposte, and third of her damage away in the early game, which is a lot. That's a lot of damage. However, in the late game, Fiora is going to fulfill the role that she always did, which is be a split push carry machine. And at the end of the day, when you hit late game, it's the difference between 11% damage and 10% damage. You know, 1%'s not that much when you hit your late game scaling items. And so, if Erevel is able to play this lane right, they will be able to scale into the late game. But it does mean that chat spam JD is going to feel a little bit more comfortable in this Malphite, trying to scale up and be that unstoppable force that he is. So I have to see how this lane does fan out. It does mean, and this is the thing that's surprising, it does mean that Erevel's not going to be so much of a team fighting composition like they had in the previous game. They're not going to have that Maokai to lock people up, and that Maokai was huge towards the end of the game. You know, Erevel played a really good Maokai. So it is slightly surprising, but maybe chat spam JD, he's a bit of a Maokai extraordinaire, and they didn't want to give that one up.
Yeah, and also a thing that will keep Erevel away from teamfights is the fact that his passive works better with AD, so he's being forced into this split push role, and you kind of go for these tanky AD items like a Titanic Hydra, Darius Gage, a lot of these items that we used to be seeing on Fiora. She's forced to go for more AD, and therefore she's going to be way squishier. She's going to be better in a 1v1, obviously. But in a team fight, she can get blown up very, very fast. But still, even if she gets blown up, there are carries that can take over for GLB. You have Sankus and Lemonade. Both of these can take over and finish the job that Erevel will be starting.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different team play style for GLB Red as opposed to the previous game. Especially considering they've got Lemonite on this Lucian having to try and scale into the late game, especially against a Lucian Prom, one of the most devastating lane combinations there is in that marksman / support role. So we'll have to see how FK can bring it to GLB, because GLB they tore apart Valkyrie in the previous game, and if they had their own way, I'm sure they would do the same to FK. But both these teams are in the finals by their own right. They've beaten out their oppositions. They're both playing for that €100 prize, as well as the RP, the skins, and the 100 Go4LoL points.
Yeah, and really for the side of FK, they kind of have the same composition that Valkyrie built in the last game, where you have a lot of late game scaling in your mid laner and your top laner. This time they do have Delusion, so there are a little bit more early game pressure that can come out just from that Lucian. And Braum will obviously also help with establishing Lucian's early game dominance and laning dominance. So I'm excited to see whether or not FK can play around Lucian, make sure that his pressure, that all the attention that he's going to be attracting, if they can somehow turn that around into some positive things, use the teleport they have on chat spam JD, and then try to turn it around into their own favor.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go. We're loading onto the Rift. It's going to be GLB Red taking on FK in this grand final best of one series as well. So this game is do or die for both these teams. A little bit of poke coming out of Erebor here, saying, "Hey, I see you there, chat spam JD." And you're not going to go unnoticed to me. But a 5-point defense coming out of all of these teams, warded up their entry points to the jungle and making sure that no shenanigans does happen. But probably see pretty standard starts. The top lane is heading up top, the bot lane is heading to a camp and trying to get themselves a bit of an advantage there.
Minions have spawned.
You should always try to go for a jungle camp as a bottom laner, just because it gives you a little bit of a bomb in terms of experience. So I'd say it favors the side of FK, just because with that camp, Lucian will obviously hit his level 2 power spike earlier, and everybody knows Lucian has a huge power spike at level 2.
Yeah, absolutely, and pair that with the concussive blows from Brum as well. It's going to really stack up if they're able to do it. Obviously, Ezreal and Alistar and Lemonite and Ux, they're going for the same style camp with the Krugs, but since Nisea was able to take that one quicker, it will mean they have a slight advantage in lane. They've got the CS lead as well over Lemonite already. It means they hit level 2 first, they're able to put a bit of pressure on early.
Yeah, and really, again, I said you should try and use the attention that will come onto Lucian and turn it into something positive. You have the right base, I guess you could call it, to turn it around, because once chat spam JD gets level 6, a teleport can be so crucial in a team fight in the bottom lane. So just whenever the Graves from Sankirks will come to the bottom lane, just try to wait for chat spam JD to have his teleport there, to be able to come down and turn the game in their tide. That is really what could be so good for them.
Going to be a bit of a pause coming out of the side of FK, a little bit of lag being experienced by one of the players, so going to allow them a little bit of an opportunity to try and sort that out for themselves. But not too much to speak about in this early stage of the game. It's kind of going expected. You know, Fiora has put down the pressure in the top lane, able to get a little bit of CS lead in the bot lane. Lucian has done the same thing, a little bit of CS lead there. Azir, this time pushing out the Lulu. Christopher was doing a good job of putting pressure on Fuzzy's Azir in the previous game, but this time maybe Ever Kaznak is going to apply a bit more pressure than before. We'll have to see as this game should get back underway. The lag was relieved, and we're back into the action.
Yeah, we're back into the action, and as you said, Ever Kaznak might have an easier way of shoving in. It looks like Christopher is giving a little bit more freedom to Abakazak than he did in the last game, and this will obviously favor Abakazak, as he will be able to get more CS. But still, in the end, it comes out to what the team members of Christopher can do, because Christopher will not be able to get any kills in the mid lane, or at least should not be able to do so, just because it is a Lulu, and Lulu is so dependent on on her team members. She's a utility mage.
Yeah, she's there to buff up the Ezreal, buff up the Graves, maybe allow Fiora a bit more opportunities to dash and jump around the fights. You know, obviously Christopher is able to get ahead. He's going to do plenty of damage on that Lulu regardless. But that's not what Lulu is here for. Lulu wants to try and help out her teammates, her carries, and get them even further ahead than they could be by themselves.
And that is why we're most likely also going to be seeing a Frost Queen's Claim coming out from Christopher in this game as well. Just because it's so good on someone like Lulu, who doesn't really want to be dealing the damage. So, and a Fiends or Morelia Nomicon, isn't as efficient as a Frost Queen's Claim is in terms of utility it brings. So that's why I love to see a Frost Queen's Claim coming out from someone like Lulu, and here comes Santos.
Yeah, trying to find a gank onto Ever Kazakh in the mid lane. Not quite able to do it. Uses those Sand Soldiers to piece on out of there, and stays plenty safe in that mid lane. Got the support of the Tabasako as well on that Lee Sin. This Wet Noodle fight in the top lane not going into the favour of Erevel. Has to be careful as Chat Spam JD putting down a lot of DPS. Has to flash away from that one. The Malphite coming into fruition a little bit. Got a little bit greedy. And Chat Spam JD was able to punish this Fiora, and this could be bad news for Erevel if it is to continue going that way.
Yeah, you need to respect the damage that can come out of a Malphite that already had backed and actually had a chain west. So you need to respect that that damage, and the damage you won't be able to put out with the chain west on the side of Chat Spam JD. But it allows Erevel to go back and get a Tiamat. So now pushing in that lane will be so easier for Erevel, and despite him still having a little bit of more damage, I'm not sure he's going to be picking up any kills onto Chat Spam JD, but he can certainly deny a lot of CS.
Yeah, this is where Fiora starts to split push a bit with that Tiamat, able to do more damage to the creeps as it comes along. Level 6 now hit for Chat Spam JD and Erevel in this top lane. Gonna mean both the ultimates are unlocked for these top laners. These vitals are going in the favour of Erevel. He's hitting all of them at the moment. There's the Unstoppable Force onto Erevel, and here comes Tabasako as well. Going to try and find a gank onto Erevel. He lands the Sonic Wave. He's going to dash away, but he follows up, and First Blood goes over to the Lee Sin. Tabasako making things work, and that will be FK coming into the lead.
Yeah, very well played by Tabasco, and just knowing that there are no flash on the side of Erevel, and therefore you are able to pick up a kill. Very nice to see them knowing that, and they just pick up a kill, get the first blood onto Tabasco, and it is not quite a Graves or a Kindred, but Lee Sin is still known for his early game aggression, and here comes another early game aggression.
Yeah, but you know, Sankus is here. The Wild Growth does come on. Sankus was actually behind the minions. They didn't know. Tabasco goes in with the Sonic Wave. They're going to go onto him, but Sankus is trying to do as much damage as they can from the back line. Does have that collateral damage, damage available for the Graves. In fact, here comes Ux on this Alistair, maybe looking to make a bit of a sneaky play here. He's going to actually finally engage onto Eversack, knocking him up with the headbutt pulverized, but it doesn't seem like there was that much communication on the side of Christopher and Sankus as they were backing away from the fight. Really unfortunate because Ux had the engage. And maybe this is where the team fight and communication is differing. Actually, wow, the heal keeping Eversack alive. And as he is able to heal through the damage, but you're talking about the communication on the side of FK, how they communicated the flash beam down, and immediately Tabasco came top lane to abuse that summoner disparity. Maybe a bit of a lack of communication on the side of GLB, as Ux knew he had to be engaged, but no one wanted it.
Yeah, a little bit of a miscommunication there, but they forced that flash and a heal off of Eber Kazakh, so they can certainly go there for return gank. But hold on a second, 2 members arriving to the top side, and they will be spotted by a pink ward.
Yeah, nice little pink ward by Erevel. Obviously that's 75 gold down the bank, but it does mean that he is safe in this lane, able to keep Vision going, though that ward not quite landing where Erevel wanted to, on the wrong side of the wall there. Quite unfortunate. Means they have to wait for that free ward to come back up. The trinket having to recharge. It's about 1,000 gold in the moment in the lead for FK, as they're pulling ahead very slowly of GLB Red. Could be a little bit scary with that Malphite as well as the Azir on the side who can scale into the late game, but this time GLB Red, they've got that Ezreal as well, who's got the Sheen and got the Tear of the Goddess, and is going to start hitting for a little bit in the bot lane.
Yeah, so even though the Sheen and the Tear of the Goddess is on the side of Lemonade, he's still looking to farm because Nisiatli. Oh,
Lemonade kind of caught out a little bit, not so much. Got that arcane shift over the wall.
Oh yeah, I got hyped over nothing.
Same here, same here.
Well, as I was saying, Lemonade just wants to farm because Nisiatli still has a BF sword and a longsword, so the damage output will just be higher from the Lucian.
Yeah, absolutely, and the CS is currently in favor of Lucian as well. Got 14 above his opponent. Kind of expected, really. The pressure that a Lucian Braum puts out does mean that the Ezreal and the Alistar Doves have to play a bit safe, but here's a bit of an engage. The Glacial Fissure onto Lemon Knight. The teleport comes from Christopher, and Tabasco is here to help with the fight. Christopher teleports in as well. And it's not going too well for GLB as they go into Ox. He's going extremely low. Dragon's range finishes him off. Kill for Tabasco. Now here comes Senkos. Christopher picks up a kill. They're going to try and find another onto Tomek here. The collateral damage not quite enough, but that red smite, the challenging smite, the true damage that comes through with the auto attacks, able to finish that one off and makes it a 2-for-1 in the bot lane, and a nice little roam by GLB to secure those advantages.
Yeah, so well played by GLB. They backed off when they first got. They did. As I was saying, they backed up when the encounter first happened, and then they were able to turn it around when Christopher and Sankas came to the bottom lane. So that was really nice to see them play around those two, making sure that Lemonade wouldn't really be in any trouble. And despite them getting 2 kills as well, I at least think it was, well, I think it was 1 or 2 kills. They also helped Lemonade with getting a bit back into the CS. Now he's only 10 CS behind, so he definitely got relieved some of the pressure he had on him to come back in terms of CS.
Yeah, absolutely. It does mean that this Ezreal now able to farm up a little bit safer. Got that Glacial Shroud for themselves to tank up a little bit of the damage that that Lucian will be putting out. Look at this top lane. Tabasco and Chat Spam JD hiding in a bush, waiting for Erevel to push up on this Fiora, and it's going to fall into the trap. Are they able to pick up a kill? We'll have to watch out. The Unstoppable Force onto Erevel. They're going to attempt the Dragon Rage, but it gets riposte, and Erevel flashing away from Tabasco manages to survive for now. They're looking for a dive onto this Fiora as they're going to continue chasing down. Stuff happening across the map now as Everzak being engaged onto by Christopher. Able to get the clear lance onto him, so looks like Everzak going to escape from this one. As does Erevel. A fantastic riposte keeps them alive. And now Senkos and Christopher able to get onto this turret, try and put down the pressure. Everzak doesn't want it to happen, and actually Tabasco and Chat Spam JD coming in from the backside, but with ultimates down, I think they're not going to be able to do too much in that engage.
Yeah, you definitely won't be able to do too much. I mean, there were still an Emperor's Divide on the side of Ebakazak if they really wanted to do so, but at this point, Tabasco is the one that are going to be making plays around the map, and if he doesn't have his Dragon's Rage up, then he's not going to be able to make any plays. And Ebakazak, he just needs to keep shoving against Christopher. Oh, Sankos!
Yeah, they're going for round 2 of this gank, but here comes Tabasco. Sankos actually goes over the wall, flashing for it, but he gets knocked back over by the Emperor's Divide, and now Tabasco going on to him, trying to find a kill with the Dragon's Rage, but wasn't able to land the Sonic Wave, and that is the Graves escaping this one on just a little bit of HP. Everzak, though, going very low, has to recall himself. It's going to mean that Christopher gets a little bit of free farm in the mid lane. Oh, there's the Glacial Fissure onto Ux. Ux actually just knocks Lucian away, and now has to use the unbreakable will to break out of those concussive blows. Here comes Erevel. He's going to try and find himself a kill. Grand challenge onto Lucian, and they get the kill quite easily. It will be Lemonite walking away from that one. Now Tomek has to get out of here. And he will do so as the side of GLB group up on this bot lane turret. He should be able to take this one as well.
I don't understand why you would want to start a fight in the bottom lane when you don't have a teleport on chat spam JD, because there are double teleports on the side of GLB, and you have to respect the double teleports, because that means you can always get turned on. And if you don't respect the teleport, the double teleport, then you will get turned on and you will get killed, like we just saw there in the bottom lane for Averil.
Yeah, that's really well put. You know, when you're up against a double teleport team composition, you have to be respectful of it. Look, chat spam JD and Tabasco going for round 2 on this this push game. But look what GLB have done. They've adapted a little bit. They've sent both Lemonite and Ux up to the top lane to try and push out this turret. Erevil's going to stick in the bot lane. Tomic here is actually roamed up as well. It's going to be a 3v2 if they manage to land it. And this time Riposte isn't available for either of these two champions. Here comes the unstoppable force. Tabasco's going to land the Dragon's Rage. Lemonite tries to get away. That nice headbutt, and Pulverize keeps 2 away, but not the main one. Tabasco escapes from that. And he manages to fly on through, finds the kill. He'll burned by Lemonite, but it wasn't enough. And 1 kill going over to FK allows them to put some pressure on this top lane turret. Sankas is pressuring on in everyone in this jungle. He's 1v2 at the moment, tanking a culling, but he's put the challenging smite onto Lucian, so going to reduce the damage by 20%, I believe it is. And that was a really nice place by Sankas. They're going to try and take the blue buff away from it. They should be able to do so as well. Chat spam JD going to secure himself the turret in the top lane, however. Looks like GLB want this bot lane tier 2 turret for themselves. This
game is so close. Both teams, they are making it the great plays. Oh, Averil!
Yeah, speaking of great plays, Averil was praying as he escapes from this one, but he manages to do so with the riposte and the dash away on the Q. Really nice mechanical play by Averil. Thought the Glacial Fissure would hit him, but that lunge is just such a nice cooldown. Have it up so often, and he manages to escape.
Yeah, it was a good escape there. Maybe he overextended a little bit, being all the way up there and not having too much vision in the enemy jungle. He shouldn't have been there. Oh, Tabasco might be dead now.
Tabasco might be in a bit of trouble. Does have does have that ward jump to get over the wall, and will do so successfully. Aravil putting pressure in on this pink ward, managed to secure it for themselves. It's everyone's grouped up in the bot lane apart from Lemon Knight, who's going to go try and push up the turret. Actually, reversing in tracks doesn't want to turn around. It looks like this dragon may become a bit of a contention point. When you've got 5 people grouped up, it's kind of what you do. It will be actually Lemon Knight heading back to the top lane. Not 100% sure, and this is not a good sign of communication when your AD carry is wasting time by dancing in the top side jungle. But does finally find themselves in the top lane. It does mean that FK know they can make a play in the bot side, whether that be Dragon or dive onto Fiora. Looks like GLB want to do the same thing though. They're going to try and pressure down this mid lane turret. And a flash engage by Ox is going to find Evernak in the wrong position. Has to flash away from that one. Got a heal available. The Wild Growth to keep Sandcast really healthy. The Polymorph as well stops from being able to escape. They get the kill. Turret goes down in the bot lane. Sandcast trying to escape. Chat spam and Tomek, and he's going to find himself falling. There's the Polymorph, and there's the engage by Ox to try and keep everyone healthy, but the Unstoppable Force does come out. They managed to find a kill onto Sandcast, but a double kill going over to Chat Spam JD as a kill in the bot lane as well for Tomek, Tabasco even. And this looks to be a lot of resources and gold going over to FK. They managed to find a second turret for themselves, the tier 2 bot lane, and 3 kills as well.
And this play would have been so good for GLB if they hadn't forced that fight in the mid lane. There was really no reason to do so, because you had the all from FK down in the bottom side jungle where you wanted them to. It wouldn't matter if you gave up a dragon as long as you would get the tower in the top lane. So with that engage in the mid lane where you basically didn't have any reason to do so and didn't really have the vision necessary to do so either, you ended up giving 3 kills and a inner turret in the bottom lane. This is just a little bit too much than more than GLB should be giving up at this point in the game.
Yeah, you're right. Basically, GLB could have played a safe game there. I think they could have got the kill into Everzak and managed to escape if they played it a bit more safely. But at the end of the day, it was Sandcast taking the turret, not a position you want to be in. And it meant that the teleport from Chat Spam JD was able to secure themselves a kill. Now, Everzak is the focus, but he has that streamer shuffle to get out of there and not going to be too much trouble. Ox has to try and find a way out of this one. Going to headbutt Tabasco and say, nah, we're not having any of this. And manage to walk out. Does have that unbreakable wheel as well, and is able to heal himself up. But this mid lane turret now being sieged a little bit by FK, as actually they're looking to turn their attention to this dragon, maybe secure themselves the first one at 20 minutes into the game. Looks like it's going to go uncontested though. GLB very cleverly put their focus on the mid lane turret and take it out for themselves.
I feel like that trade is way better for GLB because they need towers at this point. They are the better late game scaling team composition, in my opinion, because of Ezreal and Lulu will be there to sustain through all the damage that can't come out of the Seer. So, in my opinion, getting that gold from a tower is way more beneficial for them. Now, they obviously lose a tower in the mid lane as well, so it gets toned down a little bit, the benefits of that trade.
Yeah, you're right. GLB now trying to protect their turret here as FK managed to take out that mid lane turret for themselves, and with the Azir turret up in place, it's going to make things a little bit hard. What do you think of this Lich Bane on the Lulu? It made sense for GLB Red when they were ahead of Valkyrie in the previous game, but they're not that far. They're not even ahead in this game, and it just seems to me like it might not be the greatest of builds. I don't know. Like Rod of Ages seems to be good on her, but you know, maybe that's been a while since I played Lu in the mid lane.
Well, like in the last game, I can see why you would go for the Lich Bane just to get the extra tower killing. But as you said, they were ahead in the last game. They had a way of getting onto the inner turret. Hang on, you're saying that might wait as their no, they will get away. But as you were saying, Rod of Ages is just way better for late game scaling. So would a Rabadon's Death Cap instead of a Lich Bane, but now they're fighting, they found Chat Spam JD.
Yeah, this is not good for GLB because the rest of FK are here. Glacial Fisher splits up the fight. Ox is taking the brunt of the damage at the moment. The True Shot Barrage gets soaked up by the stand behind his shield. Chat Spam JD jumps in with an unstoppable force, and he manages to pick up the kill onto Sandcucks. Now Lemonite is here trying to put down damage, able to pick a kill up onto Everzak. Avril versus Lucian in the bot lane, and Avril falls to the Lucian. And look at that, Braum picks up a kill onto Ezreal as well. It's going in the favor of FK. Can they make this an ace? Only 2 to go. Ox is taking a bit of damage. He headbutts and flashes on out of there to escape, and he will manage to do so. But that was a 3-for-1 across the map for GLB as FK pull ahead, 3k gold in the lead.
So beautifully played by FK. They know that they are so far ahead. They have that strong front line right now of Chat Spam, JD and Tomek, and even Tabasco is starting to get really tanky with that Randuin's Omen and the component of a Banshee's Whale, the Spectre's Cowl. He's also very tanky, and even Eba Kazak and Nisedli is in a good position because of all the damage that they can bring out right now. They are farming and they are getting a lot of the resources of their team, so they are also able to be protected by this front line and then get the payoff. It's basically a setup and a payoff of the frontliners.
Yeah, that's it. You know, at the moment GLB they've got really good late game scaling, and they need to be playing a bit more intelligently here, or else they'll find themselves throwing away leads left, right, and center over to FK, throwing away gold advantages. You know, the game is relatively close. 3 turrets to 4, 1 dragon to none, and only 3k gold separates these two teams. And both these two teams going to scale very nicely into the late game anyway. But you're not quite there at the moment for GLB. You're not quite got that force of an Ezreal who's going to be cutting through people. Fiora definitely hasn't hit the late game split push threat that we so know her to be. You know, was 1v1 by Lucian of all people, and you know, Crete needs side. He's not that fed really on a Lucian. He's got enough gold, but he's only got 1 kill, and that was the kill on Lucian and Fiora that he most recently got. So I think if you're GLB, you have to kind of respect that you haven't quite hit the late game, mid game scaling points that you might expect yourself to be at, and it's going to be a bit of trouble. But they're fighting and engaged. Christopher gets knocked away with a Dragon's Rage, and the Unstoppable Force onto 2. They're going to get 2 kills for themselves, make that a 3rd as they manage to take Ox out as well. And FK, they know they're ahead, they know they can make these plays and force these engages. They get themselves the inner turret, they're going to head over to Baron as well.
And as you said, the side of GLB, they need to play more intelligently. They need to make sure that they have the right setup whenever they want to go in, because Christopher, yes, he is in a good spot as well. He has that 3 kills and the 2 assists, but the rest of his team are simply not quite up to par yet, and that's why they're losing a kill onto Lemonite, and they're losing a Baron as well.
Yeah, that was not very good by Lemonite. Didn't have the vision in his jungle to play that far up, try and find a snipe, I guess, with the True Shot Barrage. And Tomek has that stand behind me shield anyway. You know, you're not going to get that through if Tomek here positions correctly. Let's have a look at vision real quick here. GLB, they're lacking. They've got a couple. They've got 3 far side orbs, but that's just temporary vision. You know, FK is able to walk into the jungle and place down all of the wards they want. They've also got the tracker's knife on the side of Tabasco as well. Makes sense, obviously. Lee Sin wants those wards for ward jumps, but it also gives a bit of extra vision over to them. So it's making things hard for GLB, because now with this Baron buff, they're going to be able to push in onto this inhibitor turret and poke it out. They've got a really good sieging team with a Azir, with a Lucian to do some sniping, some culling and stuff like that. And Tabasco and Chat Spam JD, they've been on points with their engagers. You know, Tabasco setting up Spam JD or vice versa. GLB have to be careful here. Wow, they're actually going in on the engage. Ox tries to find a headbutt, pulverize onto the backline, but they're not going well. Tabasco caught up, grand challenge onto him, Chat Spam JD.
Oh, the Glacial Fissure!
Ebizak finds Christopher as well. Shutdown going left, right, and center. They're going to get onto Ux and get onto Erevo as well. It's going to be the ace going over to FK. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the minions as well, and a surrender vote by GLB Red is going to hand over the victory to FK as they become the victors of this ESL Go4LoL EU West Cup.
Well played by FK. They just took GLB, their win condition, and shut them down. GLB, they weren't able to do anything with Graves. He got dictated around the map. He weren't able to do anything proactively, and in the end, they lost the game because there were no jungler.
Yeah, like it was Tabasco just out jungling Senka. Senka's did try, you know. I wouldn't take away from his attempts to gank, but Tabasco he had more presence around the map. Was able to basically play a bit of a cheese game with Chat Spam JD in the top lane, you know, hiding in bushes and getting kills left, right, and center. And I think we talked about this. We touched about this a little bit earlier on in the game. FK just seemed like they were talking more and they were communicating a lot better than GLB were in the moment. And that just allowed them to get lead after lead and push on into a victory.
Yeah, that is really right. But guys, this is unfortunately the last game of today. So the stream will end here, and I'd like to thank Dowsey for being here to co-cast with me, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Catch you later, guys.